Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
When you own your own business, you need to keep things moving. Need to book a last-minute flight? Earn a $300 travel credit to cover that. Need to take a meeting before takeoff? Do it from the comfort of the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club. Need to catch your breath before you board? Done. With $2,500 in annual value, the new Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business is the card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the Soul of Excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
I also think that all of these strikes are unlawful. They're a form of extrajudicial killing. These boats are not invading the United States in an armed assault. They're thousands of miles away. Some of them, maybe even this vessel, if reports are accurate, wasn't even heading to the United States. And for us to be engaged in this kind of unauthorized campaign of extrajudicial killing couldn't be, I think, a more clear violation of the law. The fact that...
But are you comfortable having the United States target a boat in which you have not seen evidence that it's actually heading to the United States, that it's an imminent threat?
Any boat loaded with drugs that is that is crewed by associates and members of foreign terrorist organizations that are trying to kill American kids, I think is a valid target. I'm not just comfortable with it. I want to continue it.
Two views, ladies and gentlemen. The first was, can't believe he's a senator, Adam Schiff from California, trying to muddy the waters, so to speak, and even suggest that the boats are not headed toward the United States. And that was Tom Cotton giving the response. Adam Schiff was on to Meet the Press, as well as Tom Cotton. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. It is Monday, the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Glad you were here, the fastest hour in American media. If you were with us Saturday, you heard brilliant analysis, as you always do, from Princess Diana about what's really going on with these boat strikes. This is a campaign against Pete Hegseth. They want Pete Hegseth out. The Democrats, the deep state, there are some Republicans, too, according to the analysis of Princess Diana, that want Hegseth out. What we've been seeing with these boat strikes is why. And it should... That should resonate and have the ring of truth with you, because Obama did the same thing, and not a word, with the drone strikes on targets, on terrorist targets. So there's that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, was on with 60 Minutes. I only have one bite from it because, frankly, I'm a little frustrated with the DQs, whether there are DQs or DDQs. Whether they're the Republican drama queens or the Democrat drama queens. Speaking of Democrat drama queens, one thing I wanted to get to on Saturday that we did not get to, maybe we'll have time today, not sure. The Representative Aldita Grijalva, Aldita Grijalva. Her dad was in one of the flaming members out of Arizona. He passed away. She took his place, and special election. And this was the one that throughout the shutdown, Johnson did not swear her in, and they tried to make a big deal about that. After the government shut down, they swore her in. And she was the other day interfering with an ICE raid. And then she goes on social media whining and moaning about how she's been pepper sprayed. Yeah, wah, 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 wah. That's a DDQ. That's the Democrat drama queen. Every day you see her facing always some drama. So you have Ilhan Omar was all over the Sunday news shows this week. The continuing story that's coming out of Minnesota, and we do have some, I don't know whether it would be fair to say that it's an update. There are people just talking about what we already know, the massive fraud. The Supreme Court has liberals in America petrified at this moment. Those that follow politics, that are political junkies, they are terrified. And the sufferers of TDS right now may need to take something. The Supreme Court appears to be, on the basis of the case, ready to expand Donald Trump's firing. The case is over an FTC commission, Federal Trade Commissioner. So here's the Hill. Supreme Court appears ready to okay Trump's firing of FTC commissioner in major shift for independent agencies. A majority on the Supreme Court Monday, that would be today, appeared ready to let President Trump fire a Federal Trade Commission member without cause, significantly limiting the independence of independent agencies. Now, that is a very funny phrase, and this law that has governed independent agencies has been around since the time, I think, prior to FDR. A win for Trump could eviscerate 90 years of Supreme Court precedent under Humphrey's executor versus United States that enabled Congress to protect FTC commissioners and a handful of other federal agencies from firings at the White House's whim. The president, by the way, runs the executive branch. These agencies Congress set up as independent agencies. So who really runs them? They run themselves is the answer. Who runs the agencies? Once presidents appoint them, they run themselves. If the president can't fire executives, then what is the point of having agencies that are quasi under the executive branch? Congress is not doing day-to-day oversight of these. There's no one person in Congress that can just say, you know what, you're not doing the job we paid you to do, you're fired. So where does the accountability toward these agencies or from these agencies lie? Yes, Congress set up some of these agencies, but independent of what? We have three branches of government. The judicial branch doesn't run the independent agencies. Congress may have set them up, but they don't run the executive agencies, and the agencies of government fall under the executive branch. So this is an interesting court case. And again, there is a lot of, I think, fear, especially with Trump having 3 more years, because this is not just only this agency. It could be the Federal Reserve, the Securities Exchange Commission. There are 24 organizations, including the Federal Election Commission, Federal Communications, National Transportation Safety Board, also made up of members appointed by presidents for fixed term and protected from by law. You can't get in there and fire whoever. This is going to be interesting. Now, I will also say, could backfire. Is NASA an independent? No. NASA is under the president. In fact, the president just appointed somebody new for NASA. But this could backfire in huge ways. And I'm not advocating for it or against it at the moment. I'm leaning toward the executive should run the executive branch, obviously. I think that's the right thing. But I'm just going to tell you, when Democrats regain the White House, and whenever they do, it's going to be with a vengeance. There are going to be things that happen during the course of that Democrat presidency that many people are going to shake their heads and wonder, OMG, how is this happening? And that's how liberals feel right now, frankly. Even though how is this happening? I didn't even print this story. It just triggered in my mind. There's a big story on Fox today about the number of illegal criminals that have been released in Illinois thanks to J.B. Pritzker. And it's close to 2,000. It's like 1,700 and change of dangerous criminals because just released on the streets during Pritzker's realm. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I did. ICE warns Illinois is releasing violent criminal aliens despite detainers. Fox News. Illinois has released 1,768 criminal aliens with active detainers since this past January. This is what Democrats are. Democrats are right now, think about what they're doing. You heard Adam Schiff. He's not the only one. They're still trying to go after Pete Hegseth's head over narco-terrorists, the people that have been bringing drugs into this country. Democrats have taken the side of the narco-terrorist. They're so anxious to try to draw blood from the administration, they don't care. Let's protect the narco-terrorist. They have taken the sides of the illegal aliens, including the criminal illegal aliens. They will take the side of whatever evil force is trying to harm America in order to satisfy their political bloodlust for Donald Trump and members of his administration, and they could care about you, your safety, your family safety, or anyone else in their quest to damage the presidency of Donald Trump. Now, another big fight this week is going to be Obamacare. It is coming to a head this week. Or it may be coming to something of a head this week. I don't know whether it will be resolved this week, and I am hoping it won't. But we'll get more into that when we get back. James Golden, Snerdley, 1980. 1980, on this day, John Lennon murdered in cold blood. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media. We'll be back.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Oh, Snerdley.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
I mentioned, my friends, that Obamacare is going to be front and center this week. Okay, here's what's happening. This 3-year extension that Chuck Schumer has proposed will be voted on, or at least come to the floor of the Senate this week. I don't know how that gets front and center when John Thune is the leader, but I didn't even delve into that. They're going to vote on this Schumer plan, this 3-year plan over in the Senate. The House is going to be voting on some kind of leadership endorsed health care plan that we seem to know very little about. There's another member of the House, Brian Fitzpatrick, that's going to introduce yet another bipartisan. I think this might be the one that Mike Lawler and a bunch of the group of 35 Democrats and Republicans are putting forward, which is basically extend the Obamacare subsidies with some reform to them. And this guy, Fitzpatrick, says we're just trying to thread the needle to get to 218 and 60 votes. That's it. He thinks his plan is the most serious attempt out there. I hope that the Republicans have better sense than to just go ahead in the Senate and give another 3 years for this nonsense, this COVID area nonsense. But every Democrat that you can think of is out on social media. The Republicans are going to do help. This is not a Republican problem. This is a Democrat problem. Your party came up with this Obamacare. Your party put in these subsidies. So don't make it a Republicans do not take their bait. I'm going to have more on this later. Obamacare was and is one of the biggest scam lies to ever hit America. We're coming back. Fastest hour in American media. So please keep it right here and do not go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
So I didn't want to bust nobody out. I felt like it, but I didn't want no problems. So I'm grocery shopping, doing all my errands, getting ready to go to work this week, which some of y'all need to take some lessons and learn how to do. And I'm at the grocery store, and it's this family in front of me, can't speak a lick of English. And the food stamps that they had was incredible. I could not believe the food stamps these people had was incredible. And then when we got out to the parking lot, these are getting into a Cadillac Escalade.
Hey.
The fraud is real. All the kids got little Nikes on or Vans, dressing hella good. And these fools had, and their grocery bill was like $700, and they just swiped with no problem.
All right, James Golden. Now, I was mentioning Obamacare. There's a story in the New York Times today. Obamacare users will be asked to pay more for plans that cover less. Now, imagine that. After everything, and those of you that are old enough to remember the sell that Democrats did on Obamacare. And it will always stick in my craw because it was this time back in 2009. They were selling it. They were doing their whole dance on Obamacare. We get to the holiday seasons. It's Christmas Eve. Everybody's home doing what they do on Christmas Eve. And the Democrats were not home. They were in Washington, D.C., and on Christmas Eve with 0 Republican votes. They had control of the Senate. They had control of the House. They had control of the White House. Barely, but they had control. And with 0 Republican votes, they foisted this horror story named Obamacare by Republicans. It was the Affordable Care Act. And it has proven not to be affordable at all, as we see. And they shoved it down the throat, or some people think rather they shoved it up anyway, they shoved it down the throat of the American people on Christmas Eve and then went home. So today, all these years later, here's what the heck. Millions of Americans are confronting the highest health insurance cost in years. Those enrolling in Obamacare for next year, the plans will cover considerably smaller fraction of their medical bills. So this is the New York Times. You're going to pay more, and it's going to cover less. With affordability increasingly out of reach. Some people are facing the dire prospect of dropping their insurance altogether, even if they're still eligible for subsidies. Others may forego doctor's visits or a trip to the emergency rooms to avoid the expense. The expense of what? The expense of Obamacare. Let me jump to this, because I don't have time to go through the pages and pages and pages of this article. Those individuals, here's nearly a third of the 24 million people who signed up for coverage under Obamacare last year enrolled in the least expensive kind of plan available under Obamacare, the bronze plan. Those individuals already pay a large share of their medical bill. So the cheapest plan, which a third of the people in Obamacare in, the cheapest plan, the average deductible is $7,500. On the cheapest plan, the cheapest deductible, you got to spend $7,500 of your own before you can tap into the insurance under Obamacare. Why would you do it? Carlos is asking, why? Exactly. Why would anybody do it? They don't have that option to switch to a lower premium plan with a higher deductible because it's not there. In addition to the high deductibles, some of the Obamacare plans may require people to pay a large share of out-of-pocket cost in other ways. They ask for co-pays, which are fixed amounts when they go to the doctor, or co-insurance, which is a percentage of their medical bills. Even the caps on how much people have to pay out-of-pockets are going up. Now listen to this. The out-of-pocket maximum, that doesn't apply with those with the lowest incomes, but there are people who will pay $10,600 next year out of pocket. Out of pocket. People look at $10,600 and panic. And then others are worried about the financial risk of a hospitalization, which would require upfront payments before you could even get in the hospital of thousands of dollars. For instance, Patty Reed, a small business employee in Los Angeles, had a plan with no medical deductible, but next year, her deductible is going to go up to $5,200, and that's on top of her premium, $1,700. Are you following all of this? So this is insane. Folks, this is insanity. This is what the Democrats created. This is what Nancy Pelosi said, because there were people, they threw this bill together, didn't give anybody time to read it, and Nancy Pelosi said, just pass it first, and then we'll find out what's in it. This is the bill that John McCain stuck his middle finger up because he was so TDS with Trump that Republicans had promised to repeal, and we're going to try to repeal with one vote, and McCain did it in. And it's still around. We had Dr. Peter Makalas on the program with us on Saturday. And I'm going to tell you something. He just nailed it. And Saturday, we're going to have him back. And he just texted me again. Cards with ration care and high deductibles. You can avoid getting hit with high deductibles and less likely to see care. People end up in collections. Their credit ratings ruined. Their credit scores ruined with this healthcare so-called system. Now, I don't know what Republicans are planning on introducing. I do know this. It is time for Republicans, and there are Republicans in swing districts that won by 1 or 2 points, and they are like, oh, no, we have to do something. We have to extend these subsidies. Yeah? No, you don't. No, you don't. Because extending the subsidies on this and just letting it go just means that all you're doing is kicking the can down the road, forcing American taxpayers to pay for subsidies for something that's still too expensive for most people to use. It is time to put a halt to this scam. America has been scammed. Everything that was promised America was a lie. You were told that the healthcare curve, Obama sat up there and just continued to just, is the healthcare curve going to go down? Wherever he used to use his hands to, it's going to go down, it's going to go down. Over the years, the trajectory of healthcare costs is going to go down. It has not gone down. It has skyrocketed. Everything they promised you, when they shoved this partisan plan down your throat, was a lie. And they did it knowing it was a lie. Because the goal was, let this thing break. And then Americans would be so unhappy with it that they would demand universal health care, and that's the ultimate goal of the Democrat Party. Now, that's not conspiracy theory, folks. That is what is happening here. John McCain, on the top recipient of money from insurance companies. And by the way, the insurance companies, thank you for that, doctor. The insurance companies their stock value has risen like crazy. The stocks, the insurance companies, the middlemen that provide no services directly to you themselves have gotten extremely rich off of Obamacare. And 80% of their political donations go to who? The Democrat Party. It is a get-rich money laundering scheme that the taxpayers are paying for. It is not delivering what it was supposed to deliver to Americans. The cost of health care is getting worse every single year and has since Obamacare, and there are only 25 million people on it anyway. And all this money, all these billions and billions and billions of dollars. The time is to say no. And there may be some political fallout, but say no to this. It is time to stop this scam of the American people. So that's I'll be back on Obamacare today. I'm not going to, yes, I am. Carlos is sticking up a piece of copy for me to look at. That's radio side. I was going to do it anyway, which is a reminder because we're in the holiday season. Join Red Apple Audio Networks, AARP, New York City, the Police Athletic League, my friends, and Gristides and D'Agostino Supermarkets, nationwide imaging services. As we deliver holiday meals to more than 5,000 families across New York City, go to redappleaudionetworks.com/turkey. This holiday season, help the Red Apple Audio Networks feed those in need. Your donation helps put a meal on the table for a family in need. That's redappleaudionetworks.com/turkey. redappleaudionetworks.com/turkey. Also, while I have your attention, coming on December 20th, it's Home for the Holidays with Mr. Christmas, Vinny Modugno. Get ready to slay your night away with live performances, ugly sweaters, jolly friends. It's Mr. Christmas, Vinny Modugno, singing your holiday favorites live in concert, December 20th. For more information and tickets on that nice holiday concert, go to homefortheholidays2025.com. That's homefortheholidays2025.com. James Golden, Snerdley, keep it right here. Fastest hour in American media. Don't go away.
Rush. This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Now, here's James Golden.
In 2001, on this day, Ralph Tavares passed away 2 days before his 80th birthday. A member of Tavares, his brother, just died last week. The lead singer, Chubby. But anyway, this was one of their best-known hits, 1976. Tavares. We have what? Oh, my goodness.
Breaking news.
Ladies and gentlemen, our news director, Red Apple Media's news director, James Flippin, is here with some breaking news.
That's right, Bo. Yes, absolutely. So, as you know, U.S. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, one of the sort of standard bearers for the modern Democratic Party, she is looking to move into a bigger seat, so to speak. Jasmine Crockett has announced her bid for U.S. Senate there in the great state of Texas, Bo.
You just voted to do it.
Jasmine Crockett has thrown her hair in the ring.
Okay, look at, calm down. Calm down. No, because this is what y'all do. So I'm trying to get
Miss Crockett, you're not recognized. Miss Crockett.
I can't hear you with your yelling. Don't want me calm down. No, can you please calm down? Don't tell me to calm down. Calm down. Because y'all talk noise, and then you're out of control. Because if I come and talk her, y'all gonna have a problem.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, Chair. Okay. Order. Chair now recognizes.
Yes, Jasmine Crockett officially has thrown. Thank you, James Flippin. Red Apple Media News Director Jasmine Crockett, ladies and gentlemen, has officially thrown her hair in the ring and will be running for the U.S. Senate seat in the great state of Tejas. I am very, very, very excited about that. We did not even have time, my friends, to get to the sad goings-on in the state of Minnesota today with Representative Ilhan. She was all over the Sunday shows, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and others with this continuing story of fraud in the great state of Minnesota. I must say this, by the way, before we get out of here on Obamacare. I had a text from a very dear friend of mine, a beloved friend of mine, and he mentions to me, it looks like both parties are blamed because there's no solution. Okay, and I'm going to say this, and I've said this before, but for those of you that haven't heard it, I have been saying for years, and I will say it again, it is the Republican Party's responsibility to come up with a workable solution based in truth for the health care system of the United States, which is badly broken. And I've asked representatives, why don't you guys, what is taking so long for you to come up with your own plan? And what I got back as an answer was not satisfactory from one of them, who happens to be a friend. Because no matter what comes up, no matter how it's addressed, it's going to be a liability for politically. Because there will be unhappy people. That's not a good enough reason. Obamacare, this scam needs to end. It has been a torment for America since it was shoved down America's throat. Oh, man, we're going to leave you today with the Eagles. The Eagles released their 5th studio album, Hotel California, on this day in 1976. May God bless and protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.